Today we will meet one of our top public safety officers. I am your host, Dr. Tara Defoe, and you're watching On the Floor. We will meet one of the top public officials in the city of Detroit. Please welcome my guest, Fire Commissioner Edsel Jenkins. Edsel, thank you for coming to the show.
Hi, Tara. Thanks for having me.
Being a firefighter, what made you choose this career opportunity?
Well, I think it somewhat chose me. I graduated from high school at 17 and 18. I worked in the post office for a year, and I got laid off. So I believe it was the spring of 1977. I was in the unemployment office collecting my unemployment, and this gentleman, who I don't know, walked up to me and said, "Young man, the fire department is hiring. I think you need to apply." So I went down that afternoon and applied. I believe that was in May of 1977. August 1977, I was in the fire academy.
Wow. So he just walked up to you and said, "Hey, here's the opportunity."
That's
and you went on and applied, and now you've worked your way up. And now you're you are the top fire officer in the city of Detroit, being the fire commissioner.
Yes, yes.
A lot of people don't understand, so they hear police chief, and they think that's the same thing for the fire department. So what is the rank for the fire department?
Well, in the Detroit Fire Department, we have a uniform staff. You go from the rank of firefighter, sergeant, lieutenant, captain, battalion chief, senior chief, deputy chief, chief of fire department, and on top of that you have the deputy fire commissioner and the executive fire commissioner, who serve at the pleasure of the mayor, that oversee daily operations of the Detroit Fire Department for fire and EMS.
Wow, so EMS is included with the fire department.
Yes.
Has that always been, or is that something that's taken place?
Yes, EMS became a part of the Detroit Fire Department in 1972.
Wow.
So it's been on our umbrella, and now it's not a separate entity, but I like to think of it as one fire department, firefighters and EMS. So we have one fire department.
So what is a typical day for you as fire commissioner? What is a day like for you?
My typical day starts at about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. I wake up and I get on my laptop. I'm answering emails. I'm doing some paperwork, because by the time I get to the office between 8:30 and 9 o'clock, my meetings generally start at 9 o'clock. For example, on Monday, that's my 9 o'clock meeting with my commissioner staff. I have a meeting with my deputy commissioner and my 3 second deputy commissioners, and we outline our work plan for the entire week in terms of our expectations from each division, and also in terms of what the mayor expects.
Wow. And then what is some of the challenges that you think what are some of the challenges you face when executing a lot of those plans?
One of the biggest challenges is I would say meeting timelines. I think we got a great mayor, and he has high expectations for the city.
He does.
And he wants everything done expeditiously, efficiently, as soon as possible.
Yes.
But sometimes meeting that timeline is kind of tough, but we're holding our own and we're getting there, and we like being held to the fire.
Now, in the past 3 years, there has been like an increase of fires, mainly due with blighted properties, blighted commercial properties. For some reason, somebody just seems to keep setting these buildings on fire. How much of a challenge is that for your firefighters?
At this point, it's a tremendous challenge. As you know, right now we have approximately 70 cadets in the fire academy, and we have not hired in about 5 or 6 years.
Wow.
The average age of the Detroit firefighters is roughly 46 and a half years old, and they are somewhat worn. There used to be a regular hiring and turnover of personnel, but over the last 5 to 10 years, hiring has somewhat slowed down. Our staffing has decreased based upon the economy and the budget of the city, and blight has increased. So now we have more, fuel for the fire in terms of these abandoned buildings. So a lot of these buildings are being set on fire or being targeted by unscrupulous individuals for some, personal reason or monetary gain, and it's putting a lot of pressure on our firefighters because every time that bell goes off, they respond.
Yes.
And especially if there's an occupied dwelling, someone's home, the rush, the urgency is even more critical for them to get there, and they give 1,000% every time they respond. So with the age being 46 to 47, and with the amount of equipment they have to carry and the number of fires we fight in the city, they are being stretched to the limit, but they're holding their own.
So the city has announced great news coming out of your department, and that you're hiring new firefighters.
That's correct.
So I know it has to be good news to you, because now you get to bring in some relief for those that are getting ready to hit that 46, 47 threshold. But what can a person expect when looking to become a firefighter? Is one thing to say, oh, I want to become a firefighter, and then actually come to the screenings and go through the academy. What should a person expect becoming a firefighter?
Well, we have high expectations. We expect for the individual to have at least a high school diploma, GED, a good driving record, a very good background in terms of no felony arrest. We expect for them to have also a good attendance record in terms of their high school attendance or whatever jobs they've worked, and also be willing to follow directions and be in good physical condition, because the job is taxing. Because in order to become a firefighter, you must pass the written test, you must pass a background check, physical, and before that, what we call a CPAT, a Candidate Physical Abilities Test. This is sanctioned by the International Association of Firefighters. It's a physical abilities test that's given across the country by numerous fire departments to see if a person has the physical strength and ability to be a firefighter. And if you can't pass that test, then you can't be a firefighter.
Well, understanding that a firefighter really does tax on the body, so it would appear that they would need to be in shape. I was at one of these sites and they were going through the training, well, they were doing a drill. And so watching them run up the ladder, that was, I was on the ground and I was exhausted just watching them run up the ladder. But it was, with the equipment on, and it seems like it's very heavy. So it would appear that you need to be in good shape to be able to become a firefighter. Women firefighters, I noticed that you have a lot of women in your camp.
Yes, we do. We have currently we have I believe 2 female battalion chiefs. The fire marshal is a female.
Yes.
And I would like to say that the 2 female battalion chiefs both started when I started in 1977.
Wow.
So they went from firefighter all the way up to battalion chief, and they have served the city admirably. And the fire marshal, she started as a firefighter. She transferred over to the fire marshal division, worked her way up from fire inspector lieutenant to the fire marshal. She's one of the most, I would say, powerful women in the city of Detroit. She can shut down any building.
Oh, yes.
Just with the stroke of a pen.
Yes, and she reminds us of that every time we meet with her.
Yes, she does. Yes, she does. I hope you're watching.
But the good thing is, I'm excited to see a woman in that position. When I first met her, it was, it was like, wow, we have a female, top-ranking female in the fire department, and someone accidentally called her chief. And she, she nicely smiled, but she reminded them that she is the top. So it was good to see her, around. During the process of hiring, what should an individual bring? Is it anything that they need to bring? I know that they'll go to the city website, which is the City of Detroit official website, and they'll go to the employment tab, and they can fill out their information. But what should they be prepared to bring? They
should bring a copy of their high school diploma or GED, the driver's license, birth certificate, and that's about it in themselves.
we were talking about the arson, and a lot of people don't understand that now they've made arson, is it a life sentence if a firefighter is injured?
If a firefighter is killed in the act of putting out of a fire, and that fire is determined to be intentionally set arson, they can go to prison for life.
Wow, and I think a lot of people do not understand that when they're out here putting, setting fires intentionally. They don't understand the criminal side to a firefighter being injured or killed in the line of duty. And that's something that, the public should really know and understand, that is more than, an individual getting mad or accidentally doing something, but to intentionally set a fire that can harm someone else. That should be a criminal punishment that is geared just like if you put a gun to somebody's head. There's
no difference between pulling a trigger or pouring gasoline on a structure and throwing a match to it.
Wow.
There's no difference.
The arson inspectors, how do they interact with the public, or are they the ones that's like the men in black? We don't see them.
Well, I'll tell you. They like to be called fire investigators.
Fire investigators.
They think arson somewhat is a derogatory term because they investigate more things than just arson fires.
Okay.
But our fire investigators all come from the firefighting division, and they all must meet certain qualifications. They must pass a test and also pass a background test and also pass the Detroit Police Department screening, because all fire investigators must go through the police academy.
Wow.
Upon graduation, they are sworn police officers with the same powers as Detroit police officers. They're in fact our Detroit police officers. They carry 2 badges, one in the fire department, one in the police department. And they have arrest capabilities, and during the course of the investigation of arson fire, if it can be shown that it was intentionally set and they can identify the perpetrator, they will go to their prosecutor and seek an arrest warrant and make the arrest.
Wow, and I'm quite sure the public does not know that happens. And so they carry both badges, Detroit Police Department and the fire department.
That's correct.
And they have the authority to make arrests. Well, that is a lot of information to just even understand, because people don't know. And when you don't know anything about your fire department, that's why you're here to tell us everything that we need to know. So we're going to take a brief break. When we come back, I want to talk about the high school program that you all have in place, that you're working with Detroit Public Schools. And is it another agency that you're working with to get young people involved in public safety?
Yes, we just had a meeting with Detroit Youth Commission, and we want to partner with Detroit Public Schools to set up a program for young people in Detroit to become firefighters.
Okay, so when we take a break, we're going to come right back, and then we'll talk a little bit more about that, so that the young people that are listening, they can get more information about how they can get involved. I am your host, Dr. Tara Defoe, and you're watching On the Floor. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
We found our dream home at buildingdetroit.org.
We were particularly drawn to the Boston Edison neighborhood.
So I looked on the website, saw this home here. I immediately called my husband. The adrenaline started rushing because like, oh my God, I hope I win, I hope I win. We knew because the price was so great and within our budget that we would have enough money to finish the work and restore this home to its original splendor.
It's a very exciting time for my family and for Detroit.
Find your dream home at buildingdetroit.org.
The Detroit Dashboard is a great way for our community to stay on top of what's happening in city government. If you want to know how many LED lights we've installed, if you want to know how many vacant lots we've mowed, the dashboard is your guide. The Detroit Dashboard is pretty simple. It's an email we send out every single week to keep our community updated on what's happening within city government. You pull it up from your iPhone, from your computer. It'll be a way for you to stay connected. It's a great way for our community staying connected with what's happening within city government. For too long, we've spent too much time
It's fun and easy to stay connected to Channel 10 and the City of Detroit for in-depth information and coverage. Follow us socially. Get breaking news and report from a source you can trust. Share our content with friends and family. Like, follow, subscribe. It's just that easy. We are a world of information with you in the middle. Channel 10 brings you Detroit.
Waiting for a DDOT bus? Simply text your closest street address or intersection to Text My Bus at 50464 to find out when the next bus will arrive. You will receive a list of nearby bus routes. Text back the letter next to your route. You will get a message back indicating the closest bus stop and bus arrival times. Bus stop, bus route, and real-time arrival of the next bus. Sometimes you'll get the real-time or scheduled arrival of the second and third buses too. It's just that simple. Oh yeah, Text My Bus works on all cell phones. So go ahead and text My Bus. Go to ridedetroittransit.com for more information.
Welcome back. Our guest today is Edsel Jenkins, the Executive Fire Commissioner of the City of Detroit. Edsel, again, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks again for having me.
And thank you for, confirming the announcement that the fire department is hiring, which is good news to the City of Detroit. For those who are looking for employment opportunities, this is a great way for a young man to start a career like you said.
Young man or woman.
Young man or woman
right.
to start a new career to raise their families right here in the City of Detroit. I want to talk about the youth program or the high school program that you all have in place for teaching young men and women about public safety, especially for fire and EMS.
Yes, what we want to do is put a program in place whereby we can give exposure to the young people in Detroit about being a firefighter and about being an emergency medical technician. I know in a lot of communities across the country, they have programs in place that expose young people to training in fire and emergency medical services. And upon graduation from high school with such a program, they are qualified to actually take employment in their community, in the fire department or EMS service, and begin a career, because college is not for everyone right off the bat. So what we want to do is partner with Detroit Youth Commission. We want to partner with Detroit Public Schools and start targeting on the public school side, start targeting juniors and seniors in high school and get them into our regional training facility. Have them bust over to our facility for so many hours per day for maybe 3 days out the week, where they would also earn hours toward graduation. Give them training in Firefighter 1, Firefighter 2, and EMT, Emergency Medical Technician. And upon graduation, have them certified and have all the qualification credentials to actually be hired by the City of Detroit directly into the fire department.
Wow, right out of high school.
Right out of high school.
And that is a perfect plan, because you have a lot of young students who say, hey, college may not be for me, that's not the path that I want to take, but they need some sort of skill. And why wait until you're graduating from high school to learn a skill when you can do this through high school?
Yes.
And then when you graduate, you pretty much have a guaranteed opportunity to be hired right into the fire department. So that means that they get to go right to an assigned station, or will it be another tier that they would have to go through?
If they go through our regional training center for Firefighter 1, 2, EMT, and also what's so special about the program we want to put in place is that these individuals will not only receive classroom instruction, but they'll also receive practical experience by actually riding our fire trucks, riding our ambulances. So upon graduation, they will be a ready to hit the ground employee for the city of Detroit.
And that is wonderful. Now, going back to those who are interested in becoming firefighter, or those that are interested in becoming firefighters, going through the academy, what is the time span from the screening to going through the academy?
That kind of varies a little bit based upon the number of people that put in applications, because for every person that puts in an application that passes the exam, they must be afforded an interview, and we need to look at all the candidates before we start actually, selecting individuals. So just as an approximation, from the time that you submit an application until the time if you are selected to go into the academy, it could take anywhere from 3 to 4 months, just based upon the processing.
And then once they go through the academy, then they are certified to be assigned to a station?
Now, the academy, that's a 20-week training period. You're going to learn everything from basic firefighting, medical first responder, hazardous materials, and to an extent, our firefighting, aircraft rescue firefighting. We do have an airport in the city of Detroit. But upon graduation, after the 20 weeks, the day of graduation, you will receive your assignment to your fire company.
Wow, and that is a relief, because a lot of people who may not understand the process, now they're getting some information that can help them properly plan. So if they are selected, then they can move forward and know what to expect each step of the way. And then once they're done, they're ready to hit the street. I know that in times past there has been some challenges with not the fire trucks, but the EMS vehicles, the availability of EMS vehicles, as they say, response time. And now with the new hirees, do you feel that you all will be able to have a better control of the response time?
Yes, we have plans to actually work on reducing our response time to make it more efficient and to be more responsive to the needs of the people of the city of Detroit. Currently, we operate on a daily basis anywhere from 16 to 18 ambulances. But our goal is, because we have 139 square miles to cover, we have approximately 700,000 residents in the city of Detroit, and at times there might be over 1 million depending upon the events that are going on. So what we want to do is start training our firefighters to be EMTs and also paramedics, and also cross-train our paramedics to be firefighters, and go from having 16 to 18 ambulances to having 25 advanced life support units, ambulances on the street. When I say ALS, I mean having paramedics on each one of those ambulances. And also we have 6 rescue squads. We want to make those rescue squads ALS units by putting a paramedic on our fire rescue squads, and we have 25 engines in the city of Detroit, pumpers. We want to make 14 of those engines ALS engines. The remaining engines of 11 BLS engines, basic life support, and have our 14 ladder trucks, basic life support units. And also we want to put in place 8 rapid response units, which will be staffed by a firefighter or EMT that is either a EMT or a paramedic. So our goal after 4 years is to go from having 16 to 18 medical response units to having anywhere from 78 to 80 medical response units able to respond to any point in the city of Detroit and reduce our EMS response time down to a national level of anywhere from 6 to 8 minutes. I
remember hearing you speak about the CPR. And in the state of California, I think they stated that those licensed registered drivers have to go through a CPR class, and with knowing CPR helps cut down heart attack, or it helps cut down the medical response time until a EMS truck is available or can arrive to a scene.
The survival rate, yes.
How important is CPR, and what should we do as individuals to learn CPR?
Oh, CPR is very critical. Anytime anyone is having a coronary or heart attack, and their heart stops beating, it's imperative that someone starts compressions, because with the new standard, it's not so much the breaths, but it's the compressions on the chest to keep the blood circulating in the body until a medical unit can arrive. Because if that person has a coronary and the heart stops and that blood stops circulating, I mean, it's just a matter of time before body tissue starts to die, the brain starts to die, the blood starts to thicken, and before you know it, that person is experiencing death. So it's very critical. And one thing we would like to do is to see a CPR program started in the high schools for a lot of kids, and also for the average adult, because there's a number of individuals, young people, who might see their grandparent or their elderly parent having a heart episode, a coronary. If they can start compressions while that EMS unit is en route, I mean, the survival rate of their loved one will increase significantly.
Wow. And what about drownings? We're starting to hear a lot more about children accidentally drowning in pools. So what, is it the same process to deal with drownings?
Yes, making sure that you can extract the person from the water safely, because you don't want the person who's trying to effect a rescue to be a victim also. But to get that person out the water, make sure the airway is clear, and starting resuscitation on that individual as soon as possible.
What do you think are the top 3 things that the public does not know about the fire department?
Well, about the fire department, the number one thing I hear people talking about, the great food you eat. All these firefighters are some great cooks. Firefighters pay on average in Detroit anywhere from $14 to $16 a day to the cook. They buy their own food and they prepare their own food. And we have some of the best cooks in the country.
Wow. But you saying they're the best cooks because they cook for the whole station?
We just have individuals that have that inclination, or they have that skill set, and we have a number of individuals who have gone to culinary school. We have had firefighters on this job who, after they retired, opened up restaurants and have been very successful.
Wow, so cooking equals to firefighter, and firefighter equals to cooking.
Yeah, you can tell by the girth of some of our members. And another fallacy that people have is that when they see these firefighters pull up on the scene, they have the helmet, the coat, the bunker pants, and the boots, the gloves. It's fire retardant, but it's not fireproof. All this stuff that they wear, if it's hot enough, it will burn.
Wow.
So when these firefighters go into these structures and trying to rescue individuals, and the fire is engulfing the structure, they're taking a tremendous chance. I mean, they're actually putting their life on the line.
Yes, yes, and those are the things that, you know, we don't have a lot of interaction with our fire departments. I remember coming up as a kid, you know, the fire trucks would come on the block, and we would be able to hear the different bells and whistles, and the firefighter would show us the different things and how the truck works and how the ladder works. And now it seems like it's trying to come back, but sometime over the years it's kind of went away. But I'm glad to see that it's coming back. So I look forward to having you back on the show, and then we can give the results to what's been happening in the employment sector, since you all have a goal to meet. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I am your host, Dr. Tara Defoe, and you've been watching On the Floor.